I'm Polish and I had to get used to all of this again. Hi, my name is Sara. I'm an architectural assistant in Wrocław, Poland. I studied in Northern Ireland and then in Sweden. My time abroad really gave me perspective to notice these things about Poland and what you should never do when you're here. Now, these things are totally not in any particular order, but the first thing that comes to mind is don't ask people, how are you? If you don't want to listen to their whole life story and actually hear the answer to how they're feeling. When I was abroad, especially in English-speaking countries, there's a lot of small talk. There's a lot of, hi, how are you? How's it been? Oh, the weather's lovely. Oh, the weather's bad. All of that sort of thing, okay? In Poland, we don't do small talk. When you're going to the store, you will not have the cashier talking to you as if you're a friend, okay? You will just do whatever you need to do. You'll buy your stuff, you go home. There is no forced interaction. When I was abroad, there were so many situations where I was kind of talking with strangers because they would initiate conversation. They'd be like, how are you? And the other person would go, oh, I'm fine, how are you? And like there'd be a whole conversation about pretty much nothing. But if you are in Poland and you ask someone, how are you? Jak się masz, jak się czujesz? You have to be ready that that person is going to tell you how they are. And let's be real, not everyone is fine most of the time. So you have to be ready that someone's going to say, oh, it's been really bad, really rough lately. I've had this issue and I've had this problem come up. We have had such bad results at work, whatever. They're gonna actually share how they are because you asked. So there's a completely different culture around small talk. There is no small talk. Even if it's at a bank, even if it's at like a store, anywhere, the workers are not gonna ask you about how you are or ask you any personal questions unless they know you. So you should never really ask, how are you? Unless you actually want to know the answer. Number two, and I feel like a lot of countries have this, but in Poland in particular, it's part of our culture at this point, and that is you should never walk into someone's house or apartment in your outdoor shoes. Okay, so of course you like walk into the apartment, like you cross the door, but once you are inside the apartment, you'll take your shoes off. Now, if you've just walked to someone's babcia, okay, grandma, and it's like an old traditional home, then they will probably provide you with slippers, okay? And you must accept the slippers. You have no choice. Slippers are important, okay? So when you are in Poland and someone invites you for dinner, if someone invites you over, you walk in and you take those shoes off. Don't even ask. Even if they say, oh, don't worry, don't take your shoes off, take your shoes off. You're gonna have a little back and forth about whether you should take your shoes off, but the bottom line is, if you are a respectful human being, you'll take your shoes off, you'll put them aside by the door. Sometimes there's even shelves provided for your shoes, okay? And you'll accept the slippers if there are any, and if not, socks are fine. I think it's quite important to remember that you just should never walk around in your yucky outdoor shoes in the house in Poland. I heard that Poland's not the only place that is that way. So comment down below if your family or if your region also has that rule. When I got back to Poland after such a long break away, I noticed how much people give space to the elderly. So for example, if you're in a tram, you will notice that there is an elderly person getting onto the tram. You will get up off your seat and make way for them. Again, there might be some back and forth that the person that you're trying to give a seat to will be like, oh, it's not, no, don't worry, I don't need to sit down. They will sit down, first of all. And secondly, you're kind of expected to give way to the elderly. And I thought it was a common thing everywhere in the world, but having lived in Denmark, in the UK, in Sweden, it's actually not. It's not as popular as you think, but in Poland, it's a very big thing that I've noticed. All the kids, all the teenagers, everyone that is like considered youth will like move out of their way to make space for elderly. So I was in a situation multiple times where I'm just, sitting down in public transport and I see that there's an older couple entering the train, and there would be at least 3 or 4 people that would like get up immediately, like not even say anything to them, just like get up, stand, and just make sure that they have a space to sit down. And I think that's really interesting, and I think that's really respectful for the elderly. I know that some people don't agree with it, that it should be like an automatic thing, but I think it's quite nice actually. It's always funny to watch how some elderly just don't want to accept the spot that they get at the start, or they'll do a little like bickering back and forth like, oh, I'm not that old or something, or they'll say like, oh, you don't have to get up, like, oh, sit down, I'm just getting off at the next stop. But when someone resists that and still stands and leaves that space empty, then they always take it. What you should never do in Poland is skip giving way to the elderly. Remember how I was speaking about small talk? Yeah, well, it's not the only thing that you should not expect in Poland. And that is just smiling to strangers, okay? When I was in the UK, I feel like people were quite friendly on the street. Like they would kind of smile to each other, they'd say good morning. Well, in Poland, I feel like everyone kind of minds their business. And of course, they'll say hello to each other on the street. If they find that a good moment to say hello, then they'll say it. But you cannot expect that everyone's going to be smiley and waving and saying hi to you. And that's not because they're rude. It's just that they're just in the zone. They're doing their thing, minding their business. So don't be surprised that no one's going to be like going out of their way to smile or have a conversation with a stranger. So what you should never do in Poland is expect that people are gonna be just chatting on the street with strangers and smiling at you. Even though I'm Polish and I know this, I still catch myself sometimes not being ready for it. And that is, you should never expect stores to be open on a Sunday. Now, most of the weekends on Sundays, the stores in Poland are closed. So on Sundays, it's just like, you cannot go to a grocery store, you cannot go shopping, you cannot go to like a mall because everything's shut down. There are a few convenience stores that are open on Sundays. So if you're really like, you have nothing in the fridge, if you really need something, then you'll find a place to get it. However, most stores are closed. You should never expect that during Sundays, things are going to be open and you can just roam around the stores. This is not to say that every Sunday is closed. There's only a few Sundays that are open, and that is usually before like a big holiday, but you should just never expect them to be open, really. There have been a few moments that I've been in front of the store and then only realized, yes, it's a Sunday, it's closed. So do your shopping on a Saturday or during the week. It's a little inconvenient, I have to say. Like, I always find it a little annoying, but hey, it is what it is. One more thing I wanted to mention is that you should never forget to bring something if you're invited over to someone for dinner, for lunch, or just over for a chat. I think in Poland, there is this kind of unspoken rule, which I appreciate always, and I think is a good gesture, is to never show up empty-handed. And I think lots of countries have this sort of attitude, and I think it's just a kind way of showing some sort of kindness or reward for the effort of someone hosting. So if you're invited for a dinner, it's nice to bring some flowers. Remember, it always has to be an odd number of flowers. It cannot be an even number. No, no, no. It's another, is it only a Polish thing? I'm not sure. A little dessert is always a good option. You could always bring an extra drink or just a little fun gift to kind of appreciate someone hosting you for whatever the occasion is. There are so many unspoken rules, so many traditional approaches to different things and situations. Those were our top 6 things you should never do in Poland. If you'd like to hear more, let me know. And if you're from Poland, let me know in the comments, what do you think? Let me know in the comments if you have anything you'd add to the list. And I'm so curious if other countries have similar rules, because yeah, I feel like Poland can't be the only place that these apply. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!